Hi everyone, it's Becky here. Welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. Today I am going to Fort Langley with my parents in a car ride. After driving from home for about 40 minutes, we are arriving in the central part of Fort Langley, the little village area. I love these heritage buildings all around. And it's a bright sunny day, great to be out here exploring new places. And here is the official sign of Fort Langley. It's a National Historic Site of Canada. We're outside the actual fort. It's a museum now. We're going in. So Fort Langley was built in 1827 by the Hudson's Bay Company for fur trading, and is used as a fur trading post. So this is a house for making barrels with different wooden pieces, and there's someone explaining how these barrels are made. The next one is a blacksmith's house. Lots of old-fashioned tools, the fire burning in there. And here is the master's house, belonged to a chief leader of the Hudson's Bay Company. Here's their dining room with the piano, dishwares, wow, and a shelf with more ceramic dishes. This is a bedroom. I think this is a kid's bedroom with a crib. So the Hudson's Bay Company's businessmen were in a good relationship with the indigenous people. Here's the cabin with a bedroom and the kitchen all together. And we're done visiting the museum. Here we're outside on the street enjoying the sunshine and exploring this little village. So there are cafes. There's a little courtyard in here with a little restaurant or cafe or something. A flower shop. These are really pretty flowers. Wow. Here's a little art gallery where they sell original paintings, a stationery store, and a row of freighter trains are soaring by. And we're just walking around, enjoying the views. Here is Fort Langley Community Hall, built in the 1930s. Some more souvenir shops. Flower shops, lots of good stuff to look at. Here we are approaching this bookstore and cafe there in the corner. We're gonna have lunch there. Now I'm going in to order our food. It's not too busy in here, but the food looks pretty nice. The other half of this place is a bookstore. So we ordered vegetarian tacos and vegan wraps. Because I was so hungry and we were on the go, I only sketched my cup of latte. And it's pretty nice. The food is really tasty as well. If you're visiting Fort Langley, you can surely come have lunch or dinner here. Afterwards, we kept on walking and passed by a vintage store. They have loads of vintage stuff over here. Lots of teacups, toys, ornaments, kitchen stuff. And after that, we're outside again. More freighter trains passed by. I'm ready to sit down to sketch Wendell's bookstore and cafe where we had lunch. So the shape of this heritage building is a type of slightly flattened box shape or rectangular prism that I can see 3 sides of it. So I'm beginning with the side in the very middle, adding the top line for the side on the right. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the borders around the wooden structure. Yeah, so basically I'm seeing 3 major sides of this building in the corner. Now I'm just adding more medium shapes for this side in the very middle. So most of these shapes are big and medium rectangles and keep connecting that border line towards the right side. Because I'm drawing so spontaneously, sometimes without too much reasoning, but I do see the major shapes that I need to connect together. Now I'm actually working on the medium shapes that are looking so abstract together right now. The main form of the building is still not coming yet. This is a super spontaneous process that I have a pretty clear image inside my head that I'm able to add on these medium and smaller shapes. So now I just connected this traffic light post with the middle part of the building, a little on the left side. Coloring in with solid black so it stands out better and not merging with the building. Starting to add the traffic lights around the lower part of the post. And then moving on to the middle bottom part of the building, adding a pedestrian waiting for the light to change and cross the street. Just keeping the shape very simple, starting with the head, the shape of the shirt, and then the shorts and the calves, the shoes. Now going back to the top of the building and moving it a little bit more towards the left. It's slanting down towards the left because of perspective. So we have 2-point perspective here. This side on the left, all of these lines above my eye level, the lines and shapes are all slanting down towards the left, trying to meet a vanishing point outside the page, very far on the left. I just drew another traffic sign on the side, and some more people walking on the sidewalk. So the middle part of this building, those rectangles in the middle, they're pretty straightforward without slanting to the left or right. So this is a very typical shape of a corner building. Okay, now I'm adding the bottom lines that I see. This is somewhere around my eye level. The line on the bottom of this building is very much a horizontal line, not slanting very much. Adding the sign, the menu sign of the cafe outside the entrance. Because I'm sitting down, my eye level is very low. It's right on the bottom line of the building. Okay, so now I'm coming back to the higher part of the sketch by adding the lamp on top of the post, the curve, and the little lamp hood with the bulb underneath. Adding a bit of thickness. And then now starting to add these windows on the left side, again because these are above my eye level. They're slanting down towards the left. And then adding in these blocks of glass panels during daytime. Many window panels are darkly shaded, so I just use solid black ink to shade those in to add more depth for the building, just so there's really a sense of space behind the exterior. Now I'm starting to draw the name of this bookstore cafe. It's Wendell's Bookstore and Cafe. And just having fun writing these letters, adding a bit of details around. Here I am, here's my mom filming me, sketching in process. So once the general structure of this building is laid out, these inner details are much easier. Yeah, so just adding these windows, which are very much like eyes for this building here in the very middle. And then shading in these window panels with solid black ink, adding a bit of accentuation for the borders. And then adding these loose horizontal lines for the wooden planks. Some more on the side, as you can see, because it's on the side, it's going down towards the left, above my eye level. These are just very straightforward horizontal lines in the middle. Now I'm starting to add the outlines for the tree here. When I'm doing urban sketching, I always like to include greeneries around buildings, not just dry urban structures. So overlapping on top of the tree, I see the traffic lights and the name of the street. Finishing the top of the tree and now adding this banner attached to the lamp post. Adding this vertical line of the thin post. And then finishing the very right side of the building, merging with the tree there. Yes, I want to kind of expand my sketch a little bit more on the right after the spine area. So I just added the bending lamp, which is pretty necessary to add balance for this sketch. And then drawing these horizontal lines going down slightly towards the right because they are above my eye level. And then these small units of windows, again coloring in the window panels with solid black ink for a sense of depth. And yeah, just fill in these little blocks with the wooden panel lines and the texture for the roof. Again, pretty simple, straightforward, repeating lines. You just have to know where these lines should be going. So always be aware of where your eye level is. All of these horizontal lines above your eye level, they could be going down towards the left or towards the right if you're doing a corner building. Yeah, and now I'm just adding these columns supporting the rooftop. Tables and chairs behind those people, and I see a couple of flower baskets hanging. There's another one right there. And now I want to add another person just to make this street more busy. It's actually quite busy with constantly having people streaming in, locals and also people visiting this area. Adding some more window panels for the ground level of this building. A little shade and also highlights on the windows, more wooden panels. So as you can see, these wooden panel lines are still kind of going down towards the left because my eye level is very low. It's on the baseline on the very bottom of the building. Adding some more little details for the front, these columns, flower baskets by the entrance. And then adding more framing structures. The front door divided into two halves, and the panels inside it, coloring in these glassy areas with solid black ink for some density. Adding a bit of accentuation so some shapes could stand out better. So I know sometimes it's really hard to trust what you see when you're dealing with perspective. So it's really important to know the basic concepts about 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective. So when you're dealing with sketching those buildings, you're more confident. So these windows here on the right, they're going slightly down towards the right because they're still above my eye level. Yeah, so basically it's easy to follow the rule of like trust what you see when you're sketching an apple or like a single object. When you're sketching a pretty complicated urban scenery, if you're still trying to kind of follow what you see, you're going to make a lot of inaccuracies and frustrations. So I think it's pretty important to know the basic rules of urban sketching and be aware of it when you're doing urban sketching. So now I just extended the lamp post horizontally to add these traffic lights and the street sign. Color in this with solid black because it's painted black. And starting to add this organic outline of the tree here on the left. Again, as I always mention in doing urban sketches, I love including trees, shrubs, bushes, all kinds of greeneries around the buildings that I sketch. And this tree, the shape of the canopy is very much an organic sphere, more than just a random shape. Now I'm drawing these benches and the bicycle lock railings, and also a car that gives a sense of proportion. Starting with a simple trapezoid shape outline, the wheels, and then just keep the shapes in there very simple without too much outlines. Some more branches and another traffic sign. And in between the tree and the main corner building, there's another building which looks smaller because it's foreshortened, moving away from me. So after getting the general two large shapes done, I'm filling in these small units of windows, the sign of the store, and more window panels on the ground level. Yeah, so it's really satisfying to fill in these small units of shapes. So again, once you know where these shapes and lines are going, your speed is going to be faster. So even though your shapes may not be perfect, looking a little wonky, that's okay. Wonkiness, it adds more life to our drawings. And some more abstract shapes that I see in the far distance. So the things in the far distance, they could have a fade out, an abstract effect. Now I'm just adding this pretty important line for the left side of the sidewalk, the middle curving around upwards towards the right. Yeah, part of the perspective here, the line for the sidewalk. And adding a few more trees behind. And going back to this tree here on the left side to add more branches and little twigs because it's a pretty big puffy shape there. It needs to be more detailed. Yeah, and then adding the thickness of the sidewalk here on the right. And then coloring in this lamppost with solid black ink because it is a black one. So that's it for the drawing part. Now I'm ready to have fun with watercolors and add more sensations and definitions. Starting with the street, just wetting that area with clear water and putting on a diluted yellow ochre because it's a bright sunny day. The street is reflecting the warm sunshine of an early summer day. And same for the first layer for the building here, a super diluted yellow ochre. Everything under the sun is catching this warm, mellow glow of yellow on a bright sunny day. Yeah, again, the key is to keep the yellow ochre pretty diluted. And same for the trees as well. Except for the sky. For the sky, I'm just wetting the area first with clear water. Grabbing a little bit of cerulean blue, mix it with a little bit of lime green for a turquoise color for the bottom of the sky because it's getting later into the afternoon. The bottom of the sky is showing a bit of turquoise. For the top part is a diluted cerulean blue. Some more strong turquoise for the bottom half. And just simply enjoy spreading these two colors on the sky area without analyzing too much. Really enjoy the simple process of putting paint on paper without overthinking. So we're trying to create a more sensational world on paper and not just a physical copy of the actual world in front of us. So that's why we don't have to be the same. If it's the same, it's like a photo and it doesn't have a lot of temperature. And now I'm adding the lightest tone of green for the first layer of the trees. It's a mix of lime green with a little bit of cadmium yellow. Yeah, so on a bright sunny day, we can see a lot of areas of the trees covered up with this bright yellow-green color, especially in the early summer. And same for this tree here on the left. Pretty high ratio of yellow in the lime green. Fresh spring color. Okay, moving on to the next layer for the foliage shapes. I'm grabbing some viridian green and mixing it with a little bit of yellow ochre for these evergreen trees in the back. At the same time, the mid-tone for these trees in the middle ground is of this viridian green color, using dotting brush strokes to depict the clusters of foliage joining together. And again, not overpaint, leaving a pretty good area on top of the tree untouched. Most of the mid and dark tones on the tree canopy is around the middle to the bottom area of the spherical shapes. And same for this tree, starting with the middle, spreading just a little bit over around the top, depending on the lighting condition and other objects around it. Yeah, so the shaded areas on the tree is not always on the top. Sometimes it could just be a little ring area around the side. And grabbing a little bit of burnt sienna, diluted a bit so it's not super dense. So it's actually burnt sienna mixed with a little bit of raw umber. So the first level of the building contains more raw umber or dark sepia tone because it's shaded by the rooftops. Yeah, I'm going to add more contrast a little later. This is just like a second layer for the buildings. Now I'm going to let this bit to dry. This building is actually of a vintage turquoise color. So I just mix my own turquoise with blue and green, put it on top. The yellow underneath is very pale, so the turquoise is not being changed by the yellow too much. Grabbing a little bit of red mixed with burnt sienna for the borders around each side of this building, which helps this building to stand out better with this more saturated color. And around the window frames as well. So I think this color is pretty important to help the building stand out. Same for the door. Draws the viewer's attention with this bright, charming color. And also containing less water as well, so it's more concentrated paint. Yeah, so this red brown is a really powerful skeleton that connects all of these medium shapes of the building together. And same for around the signs. And grabbing a little bit of leftover gray to paint the concrete areas. Oops, somewhat red brown here and there. Grabbing a little bit of raw umber to paint the roofs. So as you can see, when I'm painting everything, I'm not painting on the final tone of these things immediately. I'm always starting with a pretty watery wash. And now, as you can see, for the second layer of the roofs, I'm adding a more concentrated dark brown. So I mix a little bit blue into the raw umber and containing less water. And another layer for some of the red-brown frames containing less water. Oh, I think I forgot to draw the letters for this sign here. I'm just going to use quick scribbles to kind of give a quick illusion of it. And using a pretty strong, vibrant green, I think it's like a peacock green or something, for the name of the streets. Again, underneath the canopy, the first floor area of the building is shaded because they have roofs on top of it. And for the upper floor, I'm going to keep it nice and bright, exposed to the sunshine. Grabbing a little bit ultramarine blue, mix it with a little bit royal purple for the shadows on the sidewalk. And same, there's a really nice shadow here on the left side that gives more drama to the sketch. The shadow of the corner building and also the tree. And grabbing some vibrant cadmium yellow to paint the traffic lights there on the upper right and also on the upper left here. Using red, green, and yellow for the light bulbs in there. And using some vibrant magenta to quickly paint in the flower baskets. A little bit of bluish purple for that building there, kind of having a faded out effect. And coloring in the window panels with a little bit of green as reflections of the trees around it. Some more greenish grays, again reflections. So not only mirrors or surfaces of waters catching reflections of other objects around them. All solid objects will be reflecting the colors of objects around them as well, especially a light colored building. And moving on to the final stage of this painting, adding final bit of shadows, contrast. There's a little shadow here underneath the tree on the right. Quickly coloring in the outfits of these people with leftover purples and grays. And now I see I need to add some more contrast for those two trees on both sides. Find a bit of grays for the shadows around the sidewalk. Okay, so I'm just grabbing a little bit of viridian green, mix it with a bit of burnt sienna for a shaded color. Again, using very bold, thick brushstrokes of dots. Leaving a pretty bright ring around the top for highlights. And some final polish here and there. Yeah, a bit of old-fashioned yellows for these signs. Yeah, find a bit of grays around the sides to make it smoother. Bit of yellow for the lamps. That's it. So here is the look of my finished sketch. So here I'm standing in the shaded area, not in the sun, and the tones are looking darker. So thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. Here I am enjoying the sight of the freighter trains roaming by the old station of Fort Langley. And it's time to go home. I just love this little village. I will see you again very soon next time. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.